I want to start on a positive note. The culture shock is that people are so friendly. We are also friendly in SA. South Korea is a country where people really do regard respect as like, a big priority. So you greet people at work. Oh my God. I will see the same person like 5 times, and they will always say "안녕하세요" and they bow. Koreans bow and they greet you. It doesn't matter how many times they've seen you, they will literally greet you. That is one culture shock. Doesn't matter how many times you've seen a person, they'll say hello to you, they'll acknowledge you. Another culture shock is that people are always willing to help you out. They understand that you don't know how to read Korean because clearly you're a foreigner. So they're always willing to help you out, and they're always so curious to know about you. That is like a great, a positive culture shock, because I had been consuming content before I came about, experiences people had experienced in like China, for example. People are very, they seem skeptical of foreigners. Sometimes they'll just stare at you. Yeah. So Korea, they do stare at you, but it's mostly out of curiosity. They want to know, I wonder who this person is, where they come from, what culture they're from. So some people will have the courage to come up to you and actually ask you questions. Where you from? And all of that. So another culture shock. I will never get used to people spitting in public.
Spitting in public?
Spitting in public.
What do you mean by spitting in public?
The same way that Koreans are shocked, I think, at us making, those sinus noises. Those sinus noises when someone has an irritation at the back of their throats. We have a sound that we make to try and relieve ourselves. I think it's the same reaction that they have, or that we have, when we see them spitting. It's so normal in Korea. If you have phlegm in your throat, you just like and you spit it out. Yeah, I'll never get used to that culture shock. Farting in public. Farting in public. I Oh my God. Like, you try to squeeze it in as an African, like out of respect for everybody else. And these farts are deadly. They are so deadly. The grandmas and the grandpas, they will literally just release carefree. Like there's nobody around. Like they're at the comfort of their own home. I will never get used to the farts. Also, um, because sometimes, black women, we change our hairstyles, we switch it up. Sometimes we braid our hair. I have dreadlocks, so sometimes I let my dreadlocks down. And I've found that every time I have either braids or dreadlocks out, a grandmother, like an older woman, will come up to me and just touch my hair, like without saying anything to me. They're so comfortable just coming up to me and just touching my hair. And in my country, that's weird. First you talk to someone, then you ask them about their hair. But yeah, I've had that experience. Like they just come up to you and then they touch your hair, and then they fart, and then they spit. Yeah, those are my my biggest culture shocks.
Wow. If in case you just join us here, join Traffic
Yes.
TV. If this is your first time of watching a video on our platform, can you subscribe to our channel and click on the bell notification icon to always get an update from us whenever we upload a new video. At GH Africa TV, we are here for entertainment and also education. So let's continue with our conversation. South Korea. I know South Korea speak Korean language. So how were you able to communicate with the people? Were there any challenges in the language?
So the language, not so much, because I had also lived I'd also lived in Germany, like back in 2015 or 2016, I can't remember. But I had experienced like language barrier. And what I love about South Korea is that they have a translation app. So it's very easy to communicate with people. If I don't understand what you're saying, I just give you the phone and you speak into the mic, and then I understand everything you're saying. So I haven't really had a battle with the language barrier per se. I can't even remember an encounter that I had where I had a situation where I couldn't communicate, because the app is so convenient. You can translate English, you can translate your own language, you can anything. The app is so convenient for that very reason. I had a harder time in Germany compared to South Korea, because the app is just there to make your life easy.
Oh, okay, so talking about the app, what are some of the platforms for people to learn languages very, very, very quickly? What are some of the apps, or what are some of the ways that can help people to learn languages very, very, very quickly?
Oh, that's tricky. So there are so many platforms you can use to learn a new language, and some are free, apps are free. And I have had the privilege of working with people who are willing to teach me Korean. I've just been the one who's lazy, dragging my feet to learn it because I have so many South Africans around me, so I don't necessarily need to learn it. But people, I'm speaking specifically about South Korea. They are so kind, they're so understanding. I have a colleague who's been wanting to do lessons with me. I teach her English, she teaches me Korean. So I think we've had like 3 sessions. But yeah, it's been very hectic because when I get to work, I have to prepare for my lessons, what I do at work. So I don't really have the time to fully learn Korean. But if you are really looking to learn a new language, there are so many platforms available. You can simply just Google. There are so many free apps that you can use to educate yourself or just learn a new language. It does take some time, so do just take your time, be patient. It's hard to learn a new language as a fully grown adult. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. Just yes, 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 yes.
Great, nice one. So, how is the cost of living in South Korea for you as a foreigner coming from South Africa? How is the cost of living?
So when you're still applying to come to South Korea, you're excited because you're looking at the numbers. You're like, yes, I'm going to make a lot of money. And then you start calculating, what goals you have for back home. You set your financial goals, and then you strategize. I can't spend more than this amount. But then you get here and you realize that everything is triple the price back home. So we become so hard on ourselves as expats living in South Korea because we're like, I'm supposed to have this much money saved. But then you forget that this is how much everything costs. Like, it's very expensive, especially food. Food is extremely expensive. And I think the one thing that is like super affordable is like the phone bill, for me at least. I Back home, my phone bills like was way higher than what I pay here. So I'm really happy that my phone bill like is covered. I never have any issues paying for that. So yeah, the most affordable thing for me is just like my phone bill, as well as my transportation. The buses are super convenient. So, but cost of living is very high, very high, very, very
Okay,
high.
I heard fruits are very, very high for us. We coming from Africa.
The fruits, the fruits cost you, the fruits cost an arm and a leg. It's so expensive. It's so ridiculous. Yeah, the fruits are really, really overpriced.
Okay, so what about job opportunities for foreigners and expats? Are there job opportunities for foreigners and expats in South Korea for foreigners?
Yes, yes, definitely. I think over the years, I'm going to speak specifically about the industry I'm in, which is education. Over the years, South Korea has prioritized investing in English educators, and it's really great that SA gets to be part of what is included as qualified to teach English. So they are always looking for teachers. They do recruitment 2 times a year, and it's always just like a continuous cycle. They're always getting new teachers. Other jobs that I know of are people can apply to work in factories as well as in the military. I'm not sure if military is every country, but I know that the US military, that is a good place to get started. Maybe can I just like give you a site that you can visit to look for jobs, like factory jobs in general? There's a site called Korea Bridge. That is where people can apply to get employment in South Korea. There are also job agents on that site. And there are so many other things that are listed on Facebook. You can literally just look up jobs in South Korea, and a lot will pop up to help you with the process of getting started with your journey to come to South Korea.
Oh, okay, so talking about websites for people in South Korea, what about other people, other foreigners living outside South Korea? What are other apps and platforms for them to find jobs in South Korea? Are there other platforms?
Yes. So I just mentioned Career Bridge. Career Bridge is what I used to look for jobs in the private sector. But they also have so many opportunities that you can look up. You can look up Dave's Cafe if you're looking for employment in education. And there are a few sites for like agencies you can use to come. So yeah, just look up on Facebook, everything will be there.
Great one. Just look up on Facebook. Everything is there for you. Any financial tip advice for anyone currently living abroad?
Saving tips. Okay, so I would advise one to maybe look into creating a fixed account, because you will find that with money, the more money you earn, the more financial responsibilities you will have. So I would say maybe have a fixed account where you have money saved and you have no access to that money. And also just look into buying shares and bonds. There are so many platforms you can use, and these platforms actually allow you to invest in growth assets compared to just like saving your money and it stays the same no matter how much you invest towards the accounts. It's going to be the same amount. So I would say get a fixed account, ensure that you have enough to sustain yourself for the month. Also, when you are saving, just consider the fact that you will never be this young again. So if you have the opportunity to travel as much as you want, do what pleases you, but also just remember a small amount towards that fixed account will really take you a long way.
So, has living abroad changes your mind and perspective in so many ways, or how can living abroad changes one's perspective?
Yes, it really has. Living abroad exposes you to so many parts of yourself you didn't know existed. When I say that, I mean so many things can happen while you are abroad. Living in South Korea, my contract is for a year and I can choose to renew my contract. Anything can happen within this year. I've lost some people. I have not been able to go back home to say goodbyes to the like final goodbyes because they're passing and it's a process to book flights back home. It's expensive. So there are certain things I can't do. I don't have the financial freedom to do. And also terms of contract. So it has taught me that I am resilient. It has taught me that I can really be good by myself, like being away from home. You do not know the language, you do not know anyone in that country. It helps you expose yourself to you. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it exposes you to so many parts of yourself that you didn't know existed. So I've changed my perspective in so many ways. I know that I'm capable of more than I thought I was when I was back home. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Great one. Um, many will have to live in abroad. Many will have to travel to other countries, foreign countries, to live in abroad. Any advice for them?
Yes. Okay. So you need to prepare yourself. People talk about preparing yourself, like what to pack when you go abroad. They talk about how much money to bring when you go abroad. I would like to advise people to also prepare themselves emotionally and mentally. Because it might take, if you're the type of person who is community based, it might take you quite some time to make friends, and it might take you quite some time to feel comfortable with being away from your loved ones, people that comfort you when you are at your lowest, people that understand you when you need something. It's so easy back home when you're dealing with something, you can just drive home, and just vent to your family or your friends. Here, you don't have that luxury. So just prepare yourself mentally, emotionally. Make sure that you have enough money for the first month. Make sure that you know what type of climate you're going to be dealing with. Make sure that you understand the type of culture you're about to walk into. Make sure that you understand the type of job, what is expected from you. Make sure that you prepare for the challenges that you might face, like workplace. Yeah, so just prepare yourself mentally, emotionally, financially, but I will definitely say travel. There is so much to see in the world. There is always better. There are so many adventures you can see. So just, yeah, prepare yourself mentally, emotionally.
Great one. We are almost done with our conversation. So, any shout outs to family and friends? You can also add up your social media handles to it.
Yes, I would like to do a special shout out to my mom, Miss Tandagile. Shout outs to you. I love you so much. Shout outs to my sisters and my best friends, Vuvu Tandi. I love you guys so much. I was binge watching your videos, and I want to give you and your team your flowers because you're doing such amazing work. You are exposing people to so much information. So please keep doing what you're doing. You are doing such an amazing job. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and to just share my story. And then my social media is Tabby McCoy, both on Instagram and TikTok. Tabby McCoy.
We are almost done with our conversation, though. We are almost done. You are from South Africa, and you know many will love to visit South Africa. So, what do you have to say for your country?
I definitely think that you should visit my country. It is very beautiful in culture. We are a very beautiful nation, very friendly people. If you want to visit SA, make sure that you go to Cape Town, make sure that you go to Durban, make sure that you go to Johannesburg. That's where you get the best food, that's where you get the best people, the vibes, everything.